I think it does help if you play the right credits at the beginning rather than the end credits.
I'm not getting involved.
I know. That's a good start for tonight, isn't it?
I'm not getting involved.
It's going to be one of those days. It's going to be one of those days when you know that I start off the show by starting off with the closing credits. So,
evening, everybody. How are you?
Evening, everybody. Welcome to the end of the show.
Oh dear, well, that was a good show. I enjoyed that.
Yes.
Yeah. So see you on Sunday.
Yeah, a bit controversial in the middle though, but
I thought so.
Very good.
But sometimes you just can't shut you up.
Many have tried. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Interesting Modern Company Midweek, the midweek one. And here we are in the middle of the week, the hump, as they say. And we've got some things to talk about tonight. We have some weighty matters to talk about tonight. We'll come to that in a moment. But how are you, Drew?
All right. Yeah, not too bad.
Fine,
not too bad. Week on early shift, so very early mornings. Quite tired by the time the day comes to an end. But all right, I suppose.
The weather's not helping, is it?
No, it rained a bit today, but it's just made it really muggy now and really close. So it's we need a right good thunderstorm, lad.
Hi, lad. We need right rain outside because I can't be able to go out there with watering can and water plants. So,
I mean it's cooled down a lot today, but like I say, the rain has just made it wasn't long enough to really settle it, so it's just all muggy and close now.
Well, I just had the aircon topped up in the car because I have a car with aircon now, and you can guarantee this time next week it'll be snowing.
Woo! Yeah, well, absolutely. That's the whole point of getting aircon done, to ensure you don't need to use it.
That is true. Yeah, absolutely. You see, this is the thing: is that since last year, beginning of last year, you and I have changed motor vehicles. And apart from a very short drive in yours, very awesome your one, by the way. Apart from a short drive in yours from one end of the car park at Bovington to the other, I remember thinking to myself, I'm really looking forward to a trip to Telford in that.
Yes, which kind of brings us on to weighty matter number one.
Weighty matter number one, right? I think there's only one way we're actually gonna do this tonight, and that is, we took the decision on Monday that we're not doing Telford this year.
I think we took the decision over the weekend, really, didn't we?
Yeah, but I finally cancelled the hotel room on Monday. It was not an easy decision to make because it felt like we were being horribly disloyal to some very good friends of ours who obviously organised the show. But having kind of weighed up the pros and cons of attending, we just couldn't get the sums to add up, could we? Really?
No, I mean we couldn't sort of. I mean, I would say personally, mentally, the sums just weren't adding up, were they? To our kind of reticence and feelings that it's still. It still doesn't feel inherently safe enough for that kind of concentrated 2-3 days of indoor close proximity kind of thing, and I have to sort of preface this every time with saying, yes, I know I spent 5 days at a music festival last month, but that was all controlled, and it was all outside, and so it wasn't quite the same way, and the kind of the controls that they had at that festival, if they had tried anything like that at Telford, people would just be still queuing to get in at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It just the sums weren't adding up for the prospects of a show that we'd find satisfying. Is that fair to say?
Yes, and I think the major factor with me, and I know I've said this on this show before, and it's, I've mentioned this ad nauseum, but in the last 10 years or more, I have never come back from Telford and not then gone down with a bug in the week afterwards. And this is despite, as Drew will know, Mr. OCD here with his nice clean hands and you know, really being very, you know, very kind of very fastidious when it comes to personal hygiene, I think is a good way of putting it.
But you kind of accept that as a kind of, it's almost that's a price of going, isn't it? You know, it's going to be a bug, but it'll be a few days and it'll clear up. This isn't that.
Yeah, and this is the thing that I've had to weigh up is, yes, you know, is I have a, you know, a medical condition to manage anyway, but B, this is not this, you know, I do not want to catch any bugs at a time in this particular moment of history when there is a particularly nasty one doing the rounds at the moment. And even though I'm double jabbed, and even though I would be wearing a mask all day, and my hands would be so dry they'd be like leather by the end of the day, because I'd be smothering on so much alcohol hand gel I'd probably be drunk by the end of the day through osmosis.
And I think, you know, aside from, you know, you saying your OCD and all the rest of it, you know, albeit I don't suffer from those things, but I'm feeling exactly the same. So it's not, you know, it's not an overreaction to the situation.
No,
it's a as far as I'm concerned, it's a perfectly sound and well considered, because we didn't just go, oh yeah, let's not bother. We've actually, I would say, for the last 8 to 10 weeks, we've been wrestling with this over the last 8 to 10 weeks, haven't we? Sort of agonizing and chatting about it, talking about it, and deciding. You know, and we went from, I think, reasonably optimistic at the start, albeit wanting to see how things progressed, to gradually sort of feeling more and more like it just wasn't making sense to attend. And I think there's a larger conversation there to be had with how this happens in 2022 and going forward as well. And again, one of the other things that I've personally, you know, I feel terrible for, you know, some of our good friends, you know, Rob and others who, you know, absolutely bust their humps every year organizing and running this show, and you feel terribly disloyal about it. But you know, at the same time, I just can't reconcile myself to attending.
No, I mean, I'm just having a quick, I'm just having another quick look at today's cases, and the line just keeps going up at the moment.
Yeah, it's definitely. I mean, you know, I may have made a joke today that, you know, the government said they've got no plans for an October lockdown. Oh, so there'll be a lockdown in October then. And I fully expect that potentially there'll be a lockdown in the next 6 to 8 weeks, even if it's only for a couple of weeks. But that is again going to throw everything in terms of events like this just instantly into chaos, isn't it? You know, if there's any kind of lockdown between now and then, it's over. Yeah.
And there's a good point here from Roger Watson. He says, got to be a personal decision for everyone to make. Absolutely, Roger. And we are in no way are we seeking to influence or advise or do anything in terms of other people's personal judgment here. We are explaining our own decision making, and we're just trying to, you know, show the reasoning behind it. And it wasn't, as Drew says, absolutely. it wasn't just like a flip of a coin, or it was, you know, oh, we can't be bothered. We were going through all the positives and the negatives, and it just, like I say, we couldn't get the maths to add up in the end.
You know, and it's kind of galling, because I mean, I speak for myself, and I can probably speak for you as well, John. It's an annual pilgrimage that we have a terrific amount of fun with from the moment I turn up on you know, the Thursday evening to the moment I go home on either the Sunday evening or the Monday morning. It's just it's an annual event for us that we just have a terrific amount of fun with every time.
Yeah.
And so there's a significant degree of personal angst and pain involved in saying, no, we're not doing it this year. But I still feel that we're making the right decision. But we don't seek to influence others' decisions. It is a purely personal decision made by us in long conversation. And I really wish for nothing other than it's a success this year. I've just got reservations about it going forward. Yeah, I mean, you're kind of looking at the people who are cancelling this year, and it's Phil, bless him, is a big, he's a big player on that scene now. He is a big player, and he is making a significant investment every year on the amount of table space he has, and presumably doing enough trade to make it worthwhile. And he's still saying, no, I'm not going this year.
Well, you talk about investment. I mean, if you remember, you'll remember when we did the demos, I was going to say last year at the last Scale Model World, we'd had such a success with doing. We'd done some at Froome, we'd done some at Milton Keynes that year, and then we did some at Telford. I'd actually invested in a lot more kit for 2020 because of going forward and doing more demos and shows and things, and I'd more monitors and another kind of camera and everything. I really thought this is going to be great. This is going to be a really good, because the one that we did in 2020 in 2019 rather, he says modestly, it was pretty phenomenal because we had the display, we had it was really slick. And I thought, right, we really want to build on that with
something that we'd done pretty ad hoc. It was pretty slick, and then we started working on how we can really make it properly slick.
So I've got gear here waiting to be used at model shows, which I can't use at the moment. But and as I say, it's when you say that it is tremendous fun. It is tremendous fun. It's tremendous fun from the moment we get on the M5. I click the Rock to Telford playlist on the iPod, and then usually we argue about something I've left behind, and then it's up the M5, come off at Worcester Junction 6, Worcester, and then we salute the little chef at Hartlebury, and then go and have our breakfast at the Lakeside Cafe. Although last time Lakeside Cafe was closed, so
yes,
and then you vowed never to go back there again in a fit of.
I was irritated.
You were very irritated. But then, where did we have breakfast? Then we had, wasn't it that other bikers cafe?
Yes, I think it was, wasn't it? Yes.
It was. There's the two bikers cafe. There's the one where
that shall not be mentioned,
and the other one.
The nice one and the one that shall not be mentioned.
Yeah, and then it's that final lilt up through up over the countryside into Telford, and then it's the detour to the RAF Museum, and it's always the joy of. As soon as we get to the RAF Museum, I get that kind of that wave of kind of like intense happiness that the weekend starts here. And the thing about going to the RAF Museum at Cosford is then you start bumping into people that you're going to see at the show. Yeah,
because there's an awful lot. Because I mean, let's be honest, Cosford on that Friday afternoon is always absolutely jam-packed full of modelers and people you haven't seen for sometimes multiple years. And so the socializing starts at about lunchtime Friday, and it's just everything. We're not making ourselves feeling any better discussing it, but I think it's important to sort of say it's important to lend perspective to how difficult a decision this has been to make, and I think for an awful lot of people, I mean, people, a lot of the traders are not going to have made these decisions lightly, regardless of what the reasoning is behind not going. But I see a big change coming for the Nationals in the coming years. I think it's going to have to change massively. And I will be very interested to see where it goes.
I think one of the things we are going to have to wrestle with, and it's elephant in the room. We don't want to kind of go down the politics of it, but no, let's put this diplomatically. No longer being part of Europe and being aligned with Europe is making trading and visiting these shows problematic for overseas traders, to the point that many of them are just giving up.
Yeah, I mean, I think the impression I'm getting is that when something has gone from being so easy, when you put almost any kind of obstacle in the way, traders are just going to go, well, you know what, it's just not worth my effort now. It's, you know, when they could effectively hop in a van, catch the ferry, turn up and start trading, and that's what they could do. Now they can't do that, and they're just going, you know what, I might as well save the money on that and get a show, you know, go to another local show, and by local I mean mainland show.
Yeah, just do some more of the European shows, and I have the feeling that I think some of the big European shows, and I think especially in places like the Czech Republic, they're just going to get bigger and bigger.
Yes, I mean, I will be looking at the options next year to take in a show, and quite probably Eastern Europe, I would think, either Mosen in Hungary, might look at E-Day or something a bit later in the year, so something like that, because as a visitor, it's maybe not as difficult as it is for a trader. So, you know, the problems going one way for traders from Europe coming to the UK now are going to be exactly the same for traders from the UK going to Europe, potentially. But for a visitor, it's probably not quite, you know.
No.
It's
We got actually good comment here from Moz 6510 model. Says the football is almost back to normal. You have 30,000 fans in the ground. You do, but you have 30,000 fans in an outdoor arena for a limited amount of time. You know, 90. I say 90 minutes, but you know, it's going to be a few hours in an outdoor arena. It's not the same as somewhere indoors where you've got air going through a filtration, not filtration system, but an air circulation system. Yeah. It's markedly different. So, you know, we thought we would just be honest with you, and you know, like I say, we feel bad about it because, like I say, we have friends who are organising this show, and we want to support them, and we want the best show possible, but we just couldn't get the equation to match up.
We just couldn't reconcile ourselves to it, could we? It just wasn't making any sense. So we've had to think of what else we could do, haven't we?
Yeah, actually, a good comment here from Stephen Pryor. You're not walking around touching things in a football stadium. Yeah, and that's a very, very good point, because one of the things about model shows is they are incredibly tactile events.
I was going to say they're inherently tactile, aren't they? You are picking stuff up, you're looking at stuff, you know, you're looking in boxes, putting boxes back. You know, they're saying, you know, there's a 2 hour kind of 2 hours or whatever lifespan on, you know, an inanimate object. So yeah, and again, it comes back to the fact that, like I say, I spent 5 days at a festival, but that was outdoor, outdoor, and whilst it wasn't socially distanced by any means, you still weren't exposed to the same concentrated environments, if you like.
Well, we spent less than an hour in the museum, and both of us felt distinctly uncomfortable with just that footfall and compression of people within an internal space.
It was terrible. It was awful.
And that was limited numbers. I mean, that wasn't like a free for all. That was all limited numbers.
Yeah. You know, because you're dealing with a lot of people who don't see the world the same way that that maybe you or I do. and weren't perhaps quite as aware, shall we say, of their surroundings in terms of people and environment.
Which goes to show that as people, as a venue, you can be as fastidious as possible in terms of asking people to be considerate, but then you're dealing with the expectation people are going to be considerate. And I think the best way of putting it, there was that day we had at Bovey, there were a lot of people there who were utterly inconsiderate, especially when it came to just the melee in the shop. I mean, that was that was as John Patrick Huston says, maybe you can gate crash Spencer Wedding. That's an idea. It's
I'm sure he'd be delighted.
Yeah,
I'm sure the wedding, the bride and groom would be delighted. Who the hell are this pair?
Yeah. Rob Monfils says Stoke Model Show didn't feel bad the other week. About 70% were wearing masks. Yeah, I heard. I'd speak to Andy Hills. He said the same of the above the Avon show. But again, it was like I just wasn't comfortable with the idea of just doing it. And that Avon show was literally 2 or 3 days after the being down at the Tank Museum and just being freaked out by that, quite frankly. So, but here we go. Philip Jones says, "Will you guys be doing the alternative video session this year, like in 2020?" For those,
I tried to do a slick little lead in about 3 minutes ago, but you didn't catch it.
Yeah, I saw that. Well, there's a thing, Philip. Will we be doing something like we did last year? Maybe.
I suppose we better start working on it, hadn't we?
Now, suddenly the sense of
no pressure,
trepidation, and anxiety about going to Telford has now suddenly been replaced with the trepidation and anxiety of doing another festival of scale modelling. Well, but yeah, we are looking at doing one. Whether or not it will be on the scale, of last year's one, we are looking at it. What we're hoping to do, fingers crossed, is that I'm hoping that he will be able to come up for the show for this one, so that we can actually run it from the workshop. With 2 people doing things. So yeah, but we are looking at it for the simple reason that our egos need to be satiated by doing something showy, but also, as you said, Philip, a lot of people. There will be people who won't be attending. So we would like to be doing something for people who can't make the show, so at least they can, it's a parallel thing that weekend. So, and
possibly a live stream of us watching a film in the evening and shouting at the TV.
That would be good, yeah. Because I did that last night. I was sat outside and I was watching the live stream with it was John Rain, Dan Thomas, and Dean. Oh, I forget his name now. But they were doing Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Just to say, I was sat on the patio up until 11 o'clock last night watching that on the iPad, and it was lovely. The meteorites flying overhead, and all amount of cuss words and profanity floating across the Somerset countryside.
Yeah, that was what I was thinking. Is that perhaps not, because we do get rather ribald when the cheese and ale has flowed. The language tends to deteriorate.
It suddenly does go from we try and keep this PG, but it does suddenly go a bit kind of 18 later.
Yeah, if we start watching YouTube modelling videos, it's just going to go right off the deep end.
Well, anyway, so yes, we are working on it. So, oh my God,
so to speak. Stay tuned.
Sorry.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. Yeah. Oh goodness me.
Because now we've got to now you've got to go and contact people like Ivan and, and Jen and say, oi, sort your stuff out. You've got a slot, possibly two. I mean, that's
no. I actually worked this out, and I thought, well, even if we're just doing kind of extended streams here, it still works because it's suddenly we're not kind of like doing it remotely. We are able to do it with a two-person crew. So yeah. So I'm actually looking forward to that because
I think perhaps even if it's not as even if it's not as organised, shall we say, just a weekend of a few more streams of doing things.
Yeah. See, Brian Wilton makes the point. He said, "I don't think you should do a show. Don't run in opposition to Scale Model War. Support your friends and those willing to go." Well, we're not doing it in opposition of. We're doing it in support of people who can't do the show, like ourselves. So we're not competing with Scale Model World. We are, we are the alternative programming on BBC Two. I think is the best way of putting it.
Yes, yeah. I mean, it's certainly not intended to be any kind of competition. It's somewhere for just to have a few more streams and a few more chats over the course of a weekend. I certainly don't suspect and think it will be as regimented and organised as last year's was.
Have you met me?
Well, last year's ran very well, didn't it? So
yeah, so that was a surprise.
Very, very well.
This, I think, the best way of describing it is if Scale Model World is Glastonbury, we are one of the other tents.
Yeah, if they're Glastonbury, if we're the cheese and grain the night before.
we're the indie stage.
Yeah. So
I mean, Steve Moore says good point there. He says you can safely cover things for international modelers who can't get to Scale Model World. Exactly. BBC Two more like Channel 4. Honestly, Phil, more like Channel 5. So there we go. Like I say, we genuinely do feel down about it because it was a tough decision. It was a tough decision to have to ring, having secured hotel rooms at the beginning of the year and congratulating ourselves. It was a tough call to actually ring up and cancel, but
cancel them.
Yeah,
I don't think it'll be GB News, Rob. You're all right.
No, it certainly won't. Probably have more viewers, but certainly.
Yes.
So, right, shall we move on? We're going to just move on to my workbench for a second here, because talking of the Tank Museum, well, we're going to talk projects at the moment. Very quickly, projects is the Rubicon LRDG Chevy. I finally started putting some colour on there, so I've just been underpinning the little canvas areas in the seat, and there's more going to be happening to that. So that's just basic stuff on that. And on the polystyrene block of horror here, started doing some paint of the tyres, and I did some weathering with the tyres, which I'd forgotten I had this set, which is AK Tracks and Wheels, which has a rather nice dust. So I thought I'd give that a go. As you can see, there's the Kent and Crant crew still almost finished, but not quite. Fantastic value, this kit. I mean, what is it? It's about 20 or 25 quid, 20 quid or something. But those figures alone, they've taken 3 times as long than the actual vehicle. So I think figure modelling is exceptional value for money.
Especially when you're not very good at it.
Especially when I'm not very good at it, yeah.
Which I've just realised came out entirely wrong. That's not what I meant. You know what I meant.
Don't worry, I shall be having words with you after the show. So
this is from. I mean, that was from somebody who's absolutely abysmally hopeless at it. So
one less jar of Christmas chutney. Mark it down. Right, excellent. Right. I also took advantage of the book sale in the 2 museum shops there, because they had one in the Tamir Hall as well. And this absolute awesome source, this Images of War book on Monte Cassino for $2.99. But now, unlike that Panzer IV one, this is all printed in black and white, and it's proper, decent quality photographs. But goodness me, page after page after page of modelling inspiration. Look at it. Wowzers. What a fabulous book. and yeah, it's a Gert Thicken. What are we there? About 170 pages, $2.99. I wasn't going to say no to that, so I didn't. Also,
I kind of find it a little bit. It's a little bit sad to me because I kind of think a lot of these photographs. If you listen to podcasts like We Have Ways of Making You Talk and stuff like that,
yeah.
I think a lot of these photographs are only coming to light as people pass away, and their children are going through their attics, which is it's terribly sad in many ways. But the kind of the material and the historical references we're getting from it are just phenomenal, and it's really gathered pace in the last few years. It's quite melancholy, isn't it?
I'm also minded of perhaps the only decent track on the Genesis album, Calling All Stations, which is a track called Uncertain Weather, and there's a brilliant line about was it a day of uncertain weather captured in a frame forever, a face in a photograph. Where is it? Just going down here, and it says all gone long ago, leaving no trace. To become just a face without a name, one more to add to the total of those never heard of again. And I think certainly when you go through books like this, that you see the faces of people there, and a lot of them you never know what their stories were. They probably only now exist as faces in a book because there's nobody out there to remember them anymore. And that's the profound thing about books like this. But again, this is another one. Goodness me, this is 230 odd pages. This is images of war in the South Pacific, £2.99. And again, absolutely fabulous reference material. Just diorama ideas, vignette ideas. I don't know, looks like Sid James there for a moment.
Yes.
It does, utterly fabulous, and not only obviously there's captions and there's historical text to read as well, but yeah, I wasn't going to pass that by for £2.99, even if it's not an area that I model frequently. You don't pass up a book like this when they're going this cheap.
Not for it's not even a pint.
No. Isn't that would be fantastic for a little vignette, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
So I got that one, and then I'll rattle through these. Oh, look, it's a book on the Panzer I, the Panzer II, my two favourite tanks of all time, really, I think. Which reminds me, I am going to get that TACOM double boxing of the Panzer I, which is the Ausf A and the B, because you're going to build a German tank, young man. So.
Well, as we've previously discussed, if it's in that grey and brown.
Exactly. So, again, nicely reproduced photographs. Just stacks and stacks of just reference and ideas. And, look
at those.
Panzer Jaegers, I love them. This whole family, because you've got the command vehicles, you've got the Panzer Jaegers. It's just such a brilliant little family of vehicles. The Bison. Is it any wonder I just like them as a modelling subject? But again, this was $4.99. But goodness me, and the fact that's the picture there. That's the one on the cover. Even just looking at the cover is just looking at how the different wheels
yeah.
It's little things like that. That was a winner. $4.99. Finally, we'll get to the end here. I got the Churchill manual for, I think this was nine quid, but pretty useful. Lots
I love these Haynes books.
Yeah,
I love these Haynes books. It's like the one I've this week.
Oh, hang on, let's just switch back to you. What?
That's been my reference. That's been my reference for this week. Because again, I mean, I've got a lot of Mosquito books, but as a kind of all-in-one, reference source, they're just fantastic books, and you always seem to be able to find these quite cheaply, don't you?
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, you know, when Haynes started doing these sort of owners workshop manuals, we all kind of, you know, turned our nose up a little bit, didn't we? Thinking it was, you know, a little gimmick to try and get a few sales, but it's actually turned out to be one of those gimmicks to get a few sales that is absolutely worth the money the majority of the time. So yeah, these Haynes manuals are just fantastic. You know,
well, I also picked up the one on the leopard because
nice.
I've not built a 35th scale leopard. I got Spencer's book on leopards, and I do have a soft spot for the very early leopards. You know, the round turreted ones. But again, whilst they're there, and having not been down to Bovington for 2 years, I thought I'll just grab them while I can. Just utterly fabulous reference material. Oh, look at that! Look at that for weathering.
I see Tim Campbell saying it's a shame Haynes stopped doing them. I didn't realise they had stopped doing them, Tim.
Right.
But on the basis that you always seem to pick them up cheap,
yeah,
it kind of makes some sort of sense, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That they stopped doing them.
That weathering on that Mexus, fabulous stuff.
Yeah.
And then the other one I got, I think I did pick up a couple more. I think I got the Panzer III one, but I don't know where that's gone at the moment. And I thought, well, this is a £5. I may as well go home with it. It's not a subject I'm particularly au fait with, but I always go on the basis that if there's a bargain and it looks like it's good reference material, you don't pass it by. And
did the Irish Army use them?
I think they did. I'm sure somebody will put us right. I'm sure they did. Hang about. Let's have a look. Argentina, Israel. Perhaps not. I don't know. I'm sure somebody will tell us.
I know they use some French.
Yeah.
Some French stuff. I did see Rhodesia there, which is has sort of piques my interest instantly.
But yeah, wasn't going to go home without that. So that was good. And then the other thing, I did score for £9, just under a tenner. What a surprise! And what a fabulous little set of. I haven't even opened it, but yeah, what a fabulous little set of useful things to dip in and out of. So, never say no to mini art. So, bing.
And he's back. And I've reconsidered my earlier statement, and I wish to make a correction. Yes, those Kettengrad figures are really, really great value when you're an absolute perfectionist.
Yeah, I'm much. Yeah.
Hey, how about that then?
No, honestly,
I'm going to call that a nice recovery.
No, it's very good. Yeah, it's yeah. It still doesn't take the edge off the sting.
It does not take the sting out of it, but you can tell I've reconsidered and I've gone. Yeah, could have phrased that better.
Julian Dallamore says, sorry if I missed it. Where did you manage to get these great deals for these books? I got these, Julian, at the Tank Museum, and I think they certainly have an online shop. So if you go on there, they might even be able to pick them up at from the online shop. Some of the other Haynes manuals I have been picking up from the Works bookshops up and down the country. And the Works is always, if you've got a local Works, it's always worth popping in there and having a look, see what they've got. But Tim Campbell says it's a shame Haynes stopped doing them. Didn't know that. But as and when I see them, I will I grab them because they are very, very good books.
And I noticed a greeting this evening from Australia, and also Matthew Walker's here. So we must be getting views over breakfast.
That's a good one. What an unappetizing way to start a day.
I know.
Two hairy middle-aged Herberts from different ends of Somerset ruining your breakfast,
ruining Australia's breakfast for them. But hey,
So that was my little that was the remainder of my little haul from the Tank Museum. But I tend to be one of those people who I never think books are wasted money because you can always dip into them. I'd rather buy books sometimes than kits. because
I thought. Apologies, Matthew. I thought you were in Australia for some reason. I don't know
is
why.
he not? No, he's in Wisconsin. Yeah, there we go. Gonna get you a globe for Christmas.
No, I thought he was in Australia. I don't know. Is he an Australian who's moved to the States, or is that, I don't know.
Well,
I was sure there was an Australian connection there.
We'll work it out.
But further up, there was an Aussie.
I read that Ian Black was moving forward with the Lightning follow-up separately as Haynes were no longer proceeding. Indeed, because Matt Irvin was working on another modelling book for Haynes, and I do believe they then pulled the plug on new books. So Matthew says, "I'm an Australian living in."
There you go. I knew there was an Aussie sort of tie-up somewhere, but there was an Australian gentleman further up who said good evening earlier on. So,
or he's an Australian, or he's an Australian living in the Women's Institute. Not entirely sure there. So, best gloss over that.
Moving on.
Yeah, we're just. But yeah, it will be obviously for our overseas friends. We will. Putting on a show will be good fun as well. That was my haul of things, and that's where I'm stalled with projects at the moment. I've still got the Panzer IV, the Tamiya Panzer IV. I'm honestly, I don't even want to go anywhere near that until these fellas are all done and dusted.
I think, to be completely honest, John, I think you need to start looking at drawing a line under them, and just saying, you know what, they're still going to be as good as or better than 90% of,
Oh, he's laying it on thick now. Oh, so, dearie me.
So, well, but so you need to draw a line under it. Get them in the model and move on.
Yeah, you're right. Get
them in the model and move on. Projects this week, masking that mosquito canopy by hand the old-fashioned way. Oh Lord, what a miserable experience!
Why didn't you use bare metal foil?
Because I don't like the removing of it, and I don't like the way it removes, and I don't like trying to clean up the gunk and stuff like that. But what a miserable experience that was! Masking stuff the old-fashioned way.
Oh, what, in thin strips and then mask along the middle?
Yeah.
Goodness me! Where are you? 1986?
I just thought, you know what, I could try and I could sit there and design some, sit on Affinity Designer and design some masks, or I can look online and order them. And then I spent sort of an hour and a half masking this canopy, and then Mike Williams piped up with a link to where I could order a set from, and I've just gone, yeah, you know what, I'm just going to order a set. So I'll peel all that masking off because I'm not happy with it as it is, and I've ordered a set now. So thanks, Mr. Williams, for that. It's just so soul destroying.
Do you know? I have in the past. I have had conversations with Matt and some of the designers at Hornby, and I've said to them on the CAD for the canopies, is there a way that you can flatten them out so that I can get true shapes?
Do you know what? ICM include templates in their instructions for you to make your own masks.
Yeah.
So clearly, it's not terribly difficult to do. But they don't include masks, but they include a template for you to make your own masks from in the instructions. So, I was just thinking about that this week, that Airfix could do the same. Just include a template in one corner of the instruction sheet.
I'm being told how to do my job now. He said my figure painting is rubbish. Now he's telling me to do my job.
I'm telling Airfix how to do theirs.
That's unbelievable. But the problem you have is it's you can't really kind of like take like a CAD shape and then it's a bit like people who think it's like you scan it on LiDAR and then you press the button that says make kit. You can't take compound curves and then kind of flatten them out because the CAD doesn't like it. It doesn't like doing it, which is a shame.
You don't need to do that. You should still be able to get a design for the outlines.
Yeah, you can do that with masking tape and a pencil, the old-fashioned way.
You're not
scan
getting
it. Sorry. Well, if it's that easy, Drew.
Why,
Then
if it's that easy, why are ICM doing it?
if it's that easy, then please show us how it's done.
Well, ICM are doing it. I don't know how it's done, but ICM are doing it.
ICM aren't the ones telling me that I should be doing it. You're the one telling me I should do it.
I didn't say you should be doing it. I said Airfix should be doing it. Why would that be your job? That's the instructions.
Well, the onus.
You're the decals.
I'm stickers.
You're decal man. You're not the instruction man. I'm talking about the instructions.
Okay. Well, I'm sure we'll have this. I'm sure we'll have a conversation about it. He said. No, I will. It's a good point actually, because there are. I have managed in the past, certainly on things like the Kate, that there was a certain amount there where I was able to actually use the CAD and actually extrapolate from that shapes to do the mask.
I don't know. In all honesty, I don't know how that works with CAD. I certainly don't know from my use of CAD how you would sort of unroll a compound curve. Yeah, it is quite difficult. But I clearly whether ICM literally got somebody sat there doing it manually and measuring it and then generating a template for it on the instructions, I don't know. But it just struck me as being a really neat idea when I saw it.
Yeah, we got Tim Campbell says Lightning Volume 2 and 3 for pre-order. The manual from Fire Streaks Books, having been commissioned by Hayes Publishing Group some time ago to produce a book on the English Electric Lightning some time ago. Anticipation has been high on what has become the ultimate tribute to this iconic fighter. Sadly, Hayes' decision to move away from aircraft manuals, and the author was left with the decision to cancel the project or continue publish under firestreakbooks.com. Hayes were very gentle. It suddenly just ends there on a cliffhanger. But that sounds good. It sounds like we'll follow up that link and see what's going on with that book there. But that does sound jolly good. And Lars Jensen says the plus side of not being able to get the new Airfix Mozzie in Denmark yet is that somebody will get time to make paint masks before I get the kit.
As I said, Mike Williams threw a link my way last night on eBay when I was able to order a set. So they are out there already. So they are available. And I'll update in due course when my masks turn up. So
let me just clarify this for a second here. The Mosquito kind of like was problematical for you, yet the Beaufort wasn't.
The
Beaufort's got far more greenhouse.
Yeah, but I've got a set of masks for that.
Oh, you got a set of masks for it?
Yeah.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah.
Talking of the Beaufort, how is your focused build getting on then?
About as well as Spencer's, I think. It's we need to get on with it.
We said that for the last 2 weeks. Talking of which, let's scroll down. God, we got a lot of people here. Yes, here we go. There's a Pollard joins. It says, "Evening. What did I miss?" Well, Spencer, what you missed is that Drew, unbeknownst to me, is actually doing a book on building the 32nd scale Hong Kong Lancaster, which was a surprise to me because I'm also doing a book on building the Hong Kong 32nd scale Lancaster. So you've got a bit of competition with your book.
Yeah. We're all working on them now.
We're all working on books. No, we're not. No, much as I'd like to build one of those 32nd scale Lancasters. I mean, Spencer's building one in about 6 weeks, isn't he?
Yes, I think so. Yeah, it's
with crew figures as well.
It's something ridiculous like that. And as it took me, I think 11 weeks to build the Tamiya Mosquito.
Well, it's taken me the best part of now coming up to nearly 3 weeks just to paint 3 Kettenkrad figures. So,
yeah, but you're such a perffictionist.
Thank you.
Hey.
But no, it's
ladling it on.
Yeah, I'm weighed down by the compliments now. That is a hell of an undertaking to build that kit in 6 weeks, though.
Yeah, it would scare me rigid. Yeah, I wouldn't. The kit just scares me rigid because it's so enormous anyway. It's just, the 48 scale one, I do still keep looking at and going, You know, and I certainly suspect, were they to release a Grand Slam variant, I may suddenly find it irresistible.
I must have misread that. I'm sure today Spencer said he was doing a book.
I thought he was doing a book as well. I thought that's how I read.
Yeah.
Spencer's.
Well, to clarify this to everybody, Spencer isn't doing a book on building the doing the Hong Kong 32nd scale at Lancaster. So there we go. Just to clarify.
Yeah,
I think you should.
There we go.
I think you should, Spence.
Yeah, really, honestly.
And he also says his Beaufort is in the paint shop.
We've only got his word.
Show off, really,
we've only got his word for that.
Yeah, we got his word for that. Words are cheap.
Yeah.
And James Mills says explains why the Haynes. Oh, you're not going to hate this, Drew. Explains why
the
Haynes.
I saw that and I was never released.
Well,
why? I really must get started that special hobby Tempest started as well. I really must get that special hobby Tempest started. I suspect there'll be a 72nd scale Tempest from them as well in the next year or so.
What, Tempest 2?
I suspect they'll do a Tempest 2 and 5 and possibly a 6 as well.
Because the Airfix one coming out this year as well.
The Airfix one's coming out in the next couple of months.
Mention the home team.
Yes. So hopefully it's going to be a few good years for the Tempest.
It's been a bit of a drought, hasn't it? I mean, what do we have? We had late 1990s was the Academy kit.
It's okay. I built it quite a few times, and it's because I like Tempest and it's nice.
And then the Edward kit.
The Edward late 90s kit, which was very much
generation.
Limited, first generation, very much limited run. But again, you saw some nice models built from it over the years. Then I suppose 2013, 2014, 32nd scale one, wasn't it? The Special Hobby 32nd scale one. And then a couple of years ago, the 48 scale Special Hobby Edward. Now Special Hobby and Edward are releasing a Mark II and 48 scale. AZ or KP are releasing 72nd scale range, aren't they? Airfix are doing a 72nd scale one. And Special Hobby and Edward keep sort of hinting at a 72nd scale one from them as well. So it's happy times if you're a Tempest fan. And who wouldn't be a Tempest fan?
But not if you want to read about them, because Haynes is not doing the Tempest book. So
yes. Never mind. But having said that, if anybody hasn't got the Great Horsepower Race yet, go and get it.
I'm going to say something controversial. And I actually think the Tempest 2 looks better than the Tempest 4 or the 6. I actually think that radial engine just looks. It's got that kind of. It just looks hefty. It doesn't look like a Typhoon on steroids. It suddenly looks like a. Yeah, it's like a. I really
like the 6 with a slightly sharper spinner and the big saber with the leading edge intakes and stuff. I do like the 6, and it had those Middle East paint schemes as well, with the light slate grey and light earth and stuff, which are just fantastic schemes. But basically, if it's a Tempest, I'll take it. I like any Tempest. So, flown by men.
Well, yeah, it was. I mean, factually, that's correct.
Factually, that's correct, but it's very
correct. Yeah.
It's like what would happen if we made a Spitfire for a man.
Yep. I'm not even going to go there.
just to get a reaction from the Spitfire crowd.
Oh, don't, for goodness sake. Internecine warfare going on here now. Right, well, this is good. We are coming up to 27 minutes past the hour, and any other business?
Not from me. It's been quite a slow start to the week, really, hasn't it? There hasn't even been much announced in the last couple of days to talk about, I don't think.
Yeah.
So no, nothing from me. And you?
A couple of things. First of all, to anybody who saw our poster this week, and I referred to the time as being 7:30 as being the little hand. What was it? The little hand is pointing to the 7, and the fat hand is pointing to the 7, and the thin hand is pointing to the 6. Is a reference to one of the funniest stand-up routines ever by the late great Irish comedian Dave Allen. Have you seen it, Drew? The one where he's teaching your kid how to read time.
Yeah.
I'm just going to play a very short clip here for everybody. So, here we go. Share.
Monday night.
Try and get the
Everybody
audio up on
knows
there.
when I say Monday, I'm talking about the 24 hours. Now shut up and listen.
Can't hear it, so let's try it again.
We can.
All right.
Now, on every clock or watch, there
everybody
are
hear
3
that?
pointers.
Yeah.
They're called hands, all right? They point to the hour, all right? Understand that. There's the hour hand. That's the first hand, the hour hand. The second hand is the minute hand, and the third hand is the second hand. Shut up! We'll do away. Forget about the third hand. Forget it. It's gone, all right? It's gone. Now we have 2 hands. On the face of the clock, there are 2 hands, all right? There's the...
Well, it just goes on and it goes on. It's just one of the funniest things I have ever seen. And I had the pleasure of seeing Dave Allen live at the Bristol Colston Hall in the late 80s. And it was the funniest thing I've ever seen. Probably still funnier than the I'm sorry I haven't a clue recording we went to where you nearly died in the second half.
Well, I did. I was having trouble breathing at one point, to be fair.
It was really good.
Incidentally, Spencer has sent a picture of the Beaufort and paint shop, so
Has he?
Yabu sucks to us, I suppose.
Yeah, well, that's that. We'll save that for Sunday's show. He's not getting on tonight, not with that kind of impudence.
No.
I'm also working my way through the new Maiden album, Senjutsu, which is. It's always the thing about Maiden is that when they start doing things a bit different and they venture into kind of new territory, you think this is amazing. This is like, fellas, more of this, and then they suddenly go a bit safe. It's the same kind of like chord progressions and kind of like diddly-did, diddly-did, diddly-did.
Yeah, so the Iron Maiden gallop is what you need, but on the other hand, for me, I'm just hearing a lot about sort of 10, 12, 15-minute songs, and Maiden should do one of those every 3 or 4 albums and stick to 5-minute romps for the rest of it. As far as I'm concerned, they're much like AC/DC for me. I know what I'm going to get, and I just want to get that.
But see, that's the thing is, what you're getting with AC/DC, but Maiden do tend to every now and then they will kind of suddenly drift off, and certainly the kind of like the Jethro Tull and the Genesis influences start coming out, and they do interesting things. They're suddenly like, this is unusual. And then it's just like, we've out of our comfort zone here. Let's just have a quick E-A-G chord change, and that's it.
I mean, I will listen to it at some point, but like I've said elsewhere, unfortunately for me, in a space of several weeks, when I've had new albums from Ginger, Churches, Wild Hearts, bands like that, I'm afraid Maiden just didn't really stand much chance of getting a look in. But I will listen to it eventually, and no doubt. And no doubt enjoy it for what it is. I just kind of think, do they owe us anything? No.
Well, that's rather awkward because on the line here is our special guest tonight, Mr. Bruce Dickinson. Bruce, it's that would be awkward. Dale Luckhurst says, no baking news this week, the Great Mock Bake Off. No, I'm working on things.
Apple cake.
You people don't need to know, but I'm working on things. Don't you worry. Right, well, that's it, really. That's it for tonight. Like I say, for those who missed it, I'll do it again. Let's just do it again. For those who missed it, And I would like to thank Brian May for not suing me for ripping off his guitar.
his phone. That sounded totally familiar.
But at least Warner's can't come after me with a copyright claim this year because that is my recording. So that's all I'm saying on that. Anyway, well, that's it for tonight. Thank you to Drew for turning up, and thank you to everybody for tuning in. We're very grateful as ever. And are you back Sunday?
See you on Sunday with news.
Well, it will be news because we've talked about, having talked about Panhard tonight, we will be talking about that funny little French vehicle. You know the one? 4 wheels at the front, 2 little wheels at the front, and that ICM kit.
Oh, right. Okay.
You know that one? I'm looking forward to that. I just think it looks awesome. Does look a bit like
yes. Sorry, yeah.
Somebody took like a Jeep and stuck a clown car on the front, but
yeah,
I just think it looks brilliant.
Yeah, that'll be a project for you then, won't it?
Unless it's got any figures, and it'll probably take me the best part of a year to finish it. But
actually, I think the Invader's out now as well. The ICM Counter Invader is actually out now, so hopefully.
On that note,
do I really need to add a third 148 scale ICM Invader to my stash? Yes, I do.
On that note, just remains to say thank you to everybody for watching. As always, we'll be back Sunday. Until then, stay safe, stay out of trouble.
Take care, stay safe all. See you later.
Bye-bye.